hoy es, digamos, la última jornada de conferencias. Tenemos un día muy lleno de muchas actividades. Marcelo Schultz va a realizar ahora una conferencia desde Brasil. Nos va a mostrar su trabajo, cómo realiza sus bocetos, los digitaliza posteriormente, los vectoriza. Esta tarde tenemos también la charla de José María Mir y posteriormente la inauguración de los premios Laos. Os esperamos a todos y esperamos que lo que va a decir Marcelo sea de vuestro agrado.
Marcelo solo, si esto va bien, solo me ve a mí, pero bueno, les mandaremos fotos. Para vuestra información, tenemos un grupo de una universidad austriaca por aquí, con lo cual la charla va a ser en inglés, como sabréis, y yo iré haciendo breves traducciones de vez en cuando, ¿vale? Si tenéis cualquier duda, al final de la charla habrá tiempo para preguntas. So, you can start. Empezamos con la charla, ¿vale? Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Marcelo Schultz, as everybody knows already. I am a Brazilian graphic designer. I live in Curitiba. Curitiba is a small city located in the south of Brazil. It's a cold city. People may have no idea how it is, but it's cold, different than people think Brazil is. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor to me. I'd like to thank you for the invitation. Let's talk about my work. People wonder why I choose graphic design. That wasn't something that I decided before I entered the university. My mom was a teacher at school, and I studied. And she has a good eyes for art. She was an art teacher. I think she saw that I had good skills at drawing since I was a child, and she always encouraged me, giving some papers and pencils, inks. She says that it was only thing that I could make. It could make me stay quiet for hours drawing. I do not know what age I started at drawing, but I can say that it was early. I remember that my passion was drawing action characters like Marvel, DC Comics, and Spawn. I liked especially draw cars at this time. Every week my mom had to buy new notebooks because I usually draw a lot. I had a lot of time. That was for sure something that I would use for a lifetime, and this is why I choose graphic design. I'm going to talk about my career.
So, let me translate. Vale,
okay.
Os voy a traducir un poco. Nos dice que es de Curitiba, si pronuncio bien, es de una ciudad de Brasil, que dice que a pesar de que podáis pensar que hace calorcito, para nada, que hace mucho frío. Y nos cuenta un poco cómo desde pequeño mostró su interés por el dibujo y el diseño. Su madre era profesora de arte y tenía muy buen ojo para ver que él, aparte de tener las capacidades, tenía el dibujar, le daba algo que a la madre, básicamente, que no encontraba de ninguna otra manera, que era que podía pasarse horas y horas pintando y al menos lo tenía entretenido. Y que no fue hasta el final que decidió estudiar diseño gráfico. Y bueno, pues desde pequeño, no sabe desde qué edad, le encantaba dibujar personajes de acción, de cómics, de Marvel. y especialmente coches. Y ahora nos va a contar sobre su carrera, cómo empezó.
As every beginner in graphic design, my dream was to start my own studio. I never was a good student at school or university, but the only thing I know was that I had something more than just drawing skills. This was something that some teachers always emphasized me on my works during the course. I made good friends during the university. Only special was Jackson Alves. I don't know if someone already heard about him, who had amazing knowledge and also drawing skills like me. I remember that he was a bit more older than me, and he already had some clients during the university. After we got our degree in 2003, we decided to set up a small studio that was called DDQ Design. DDQ means design do quê? It's like a question, like, do you want a design for what? It's the name we had in mind at this time. The beginning was hard because me and Jackson, we weren't rich, or we hadn't good clients, but we had something better, which is creativity. We worked in studio mainly for restaurants, doing corporate works like logos, folders, menus, signage. Everything was good. We got another partner. Her name is Carol Wieser, and she was very good making custom service. I am not good at talking to people. Me and Jackson, Jackson, after some years, decided to quit the studio for personal reasons, like family and other stuff. We still friends, okay? 10 years after my studio, I was a bit some years after, me and Jackson started to, just for fun, to keep our minds creative, and making some personal works out of my studio, involving illustration and lettering. We never thought that it was something that would change our lives. I made some works that I never thought the importance of. No, sorry. I never thought the importance of social media in that case. Years ago, we haven't places like Behance, Instagram, Dribble, or Facebook pages. Years ago, at least me, I just know Abduzido. Abduzido is an inspiration website which features lots of artists around the world. I have no idea, but my work was in the cover page of Abduzido. It brought me a lot of followers and people asking how I did the work and stuff. One of these followers loved what I was doing at this point and become one of my clients today. She was from Australia. My first freelance from abroad. And this was how everything really started. After the boom of my work in the social media, I started to drop clients from around the world, small and big ones. I remember that I was running my studio, spending the whole time doing corporate works. I had only a few hours at home to, also weekends, like every designer, to do those works that I was getting as freelancer. I realized that my personal work was more for me in my career than my studio, and was giving me more money than my studio also. And after talking with my partner, which was pregnant, her second child, we decided to end our studio. We still work together for a few clients, but each one on his home. Now you can translate it.
Okay. So, dice que tanto en la escuela como en la universidad Marcelo no era un gran estudiante, pero los profesores sí que vieron en él mucho más que un buen dibujante, y además siempre tuvo un sueño que era crear su propia agencia. Con su compañero de carrera Jackson y con pocos recursos montaron el estudio DDQ Design, que quiere decir Design do qué, que en español sería como diseñas o qué, una llamada de atención. Y pronto se incorporó otra socia, Carol, que era la que llevaba el servicio con los clientes. Con todo esto los comienzos fueron duros, pero con mucha creatividad salieron adelante. Y empezaron diseñando logos y señaléticas para restaurantes, pero poco a poco, algún tiempo después, Jackson dejó el estudio por motivos familiares, y sería con él años después con quien desarrollaría algunos proyectos personales de ilustración y lettering, que nunca pensaron que tendría tanto boom y tanta trascendencia, porque por aquella época no habían redes sociales, no había Instagram, no había Behance, pero sí que había una web que se llama Abducido, thank you. Y no sabe cómo, pero acabó su trabajo en la Home, y esto le dio cobertura mundial. Tanto fue así que consiguió su primer cliente en Australia, y a partir de ahí, bueno, pues se fue desarrollando más esta parte de proyectos personales, mucho más que el estudio, y al final decidieron cerrar el estudio. Y eso es. Y ahora trabaja como freelance.
The worst part of our career as designer is how to get clients. People sometimes get worried about freelancer life, how to get clients, how to get money to survive. It's hard. That's why I can say, because if you are not someone famous, don't have any work or any known design website, you are going to have some big problems as freelancer. And the clients, the good one, won't reach you just because you think your work is good. By the way, I never thought that my work is good enough. And the clients from big known brands find people with creativity. Don't matter if you do a good work or have some good skills, you must to create something that catch their eyes. I was known among the design community for the works I made using Nike stuff. Those works weren't just good presentations or well-done drawings. No, the first one I did was in 2009, and this work wasn't really for the Nike. It's just training skills. That work was made using textures from their shoes. As I said, it's just for improve my skills, and I made this trying to get really the Nike for a client. I don't know how, but the Nike reached me through the social media, seeing that work. Was a surprise receiving the email from them. The Harley Davidson was similar for a similar thing like Nike. I made illustration using Harley Davidson brand, and they also reached me through social media and asked me for some works. Okay.
Que hay veces que se piensa que si eres famoso o no tienes trabajos previos, pues puede ser un problema como freelance. Los clientes, sobre todo los grandes, las grandes marcas, te contratarán por tu creatividad. Y él fue conocido por la habilidad, él era conocido por diseñadores por sus trabajos de Nike. De hecho, el primer trabajo que hizo fue usando la marca por probar él, para ver texturas y fue un trabajo personal, y lo hizo para mejorar sus habilidades y mostrar lo que podía hacer, y también como escaparate para atraer clientes. Y nunca pensó que llegaría a que los directores de Nike en Portland, Estados Unidos, llegaran a contactar con él, y así fue. También hizo lo mismo con Harley Davidson, hizo algunas pruebas e intentó pues aprender, desarrollarse más texturas y demás, y también se pusieron en contacto con él. Con lo cual al final se trata de crear algo cool, dice, interesante, algo que nadie haya hecho antes. Your turn.
Okay. I'm going to say some tips and tricks for get clients. The only way to get better is practicing. Always practice and never be satisfied with what you did. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your free time to do personal works, instead of sleep the whole weekend. Why don't you get few hours and create something for you? I always say you are your best clients. The best part of creating something for you is that you don't have deadlines. You don't have to do what someone asks you to do. No one will say what is good, what is bad. You can create anything. The presentation of your work is truly important. People love to see sketches, hand-drawn illustrations. You must take care of how you present your work, the picture resolution. If you are taking photos of your drawing, I would say take black and white pictures, because it get better at the end. I usually take pictures of my camera, my professional camera, instead of cell phones, because cell phones doesn't take good pictures. And I will always publish your work in progress in social medias. It brings you some good and bad tips for improve your work. You have to keep in mind that show the same picture in all social media, like Dribble, Instagram. You have to connect them all, because someone that follow you in Instagram sometimes don't follow you in Twitter. So you can bring everyone to every social media. I use my social media a lot. It's always bring me some more clients. You can translate already.
Okay. Ahora nos está dando consejos, algún truco y consejo. Dice que la única manera de mejorar es a base de la práctica, que practiques y que nunca te conformes con lo que hayas hecho antes. Muchas veces tendrás que sacrificar, habla del tiempo libre, ¿no? De cómo él a base de tiempo libre es donde practica y donde se desarrolla más sus proyectos personales, y que al final tú eres tu mejor cliente. La mejor parte de crear algo para ti es que, que no tienes deadlines, y hacerlo que otra persona te manda, bueno, no tienes que hacer lo que otra persona te manda o que alguien te diga si está bien o mal. Puedes crear lo que te propongas. La presentación de tu trabajo es verdaderamente importante. Aquí habla del portfolio, de cómo es mucho mejor hacer, obviamente, una foto bien hecha con una cámara, no con el móvil. Al final es tu portfolio, al final es tu escaparate, y a la gente, a todos nos gusta cotillear y descubrir nuevos bocetos y dibujos de otros ilustradores. Entonces es la manera de mostrar tu trabajo. Y él usa mucho las redes sociales. Al final lo publica en todas las redes sociales para que haya una coherencia y esté en todos los canales sus trabajos, y mantener informados a sus seguidores.
People knows me because my way of work, the rudimentary way of work. Then they always ask why I spend much time on drawing part. If the final will be digital. The thing is, I do drawing, hand drawing, because I can show to the client more clearly. I could make a real simple drawing, but it may after done in computer, the client may say that he thought that it turned off a bit different. So I spend a lot of time doing the final sketch with shades and lightings to show the client how it's going to be. Clients always ask me for that, but people sometimes don't understand why. The process are the same for all my works. For the night works, the directors usually send me a briefing with some ideas, they never say how I should to do the work, but they say to use some determined shoe texture or color combination, and they never say how to do. It's truly important in this work.
Marcelo, can I translate?
Sure.
Okay. A Marcelo nos cuenta que se le conoce por su forma rudimentaria de componer sus trabajos. Siempre le preguntan por qué dedica tanto tiempo a la parte de dibujar a mano si finalmente su trabajo va a ser digital. Y lo hace porque es la mejor manera que tiene de enseñar al cliente su trabajo. También a través de un sencillo dibujo puede luego desarrollar el resto digitalmente, que es como lo hace. Y sí que es verdad que el problema que puede conllevar esta técnica es que el cliente te diga, me lo imaginaba distinto, y dice que esto suele pasar. Ok.
For the Nike works, I start to collecting from the internet some reference of color shoes or textures. For each work, I create 3 or 4 illustrations in a different way each one, so they can see what is the best choice for the work. People always ask me how I do such work. I can say that it's not hard to me. Just take a lot of time. I don't usually any 3D softwares for it. I just use the Illustrator and Photoshop. Illustrator is for create shapes, vector shapes, and then I bring those vectors to Photoshop to create the paint parts. Are you going to translate this part, or can I already show my screen?
Yes, show us. Maybe while you show, I start to translate, ¿ok?
Ok.
Entonces, ahora nos va a enseñar su trabajo con Nike. Nos comenta que el proceso es el mismo para todos sus trabajos. Los directores de Nike normalmente le dan un brief con algunas ideas y directrices como la textura y la combinación de colores de la zapatilla. Nunca le dicen cómo hacerlo y Marcelo suele tener luz verde para crear. También empieza recogiendo referencias de sus zapatillas, colores y texturas. Para cada trabajo crea 3 o 4 propuestas distintas para que ellos decidan cuál es la mejor. You can share. Nos va a compartir ahora pantalla para que veáis su portfolio y nos va a ir introduciendo a cada trabajo. Entonces, la gente le pregunta también cómo desarrolla ese trabajo. Para él no es un trabajo duro, pero sí que lleva mucho tiempo. No utiliza ningún programa de 3D, para ello usa Illustrator y Photoshop. Illustrator para crear todas las formas vectoriales y luego lo lleva a Photoshop para dibujar las sombras y los efectos. Este es un ejemplo de Nike y utiliza la zapatilla, no sé si veis, bueno, que nos explique. Marcelo.
This work was the first work I made for Nike. This work is close to my first try that I made for personal. They really enjoyed the first one I did, so they asked me one. People wonder, and this is using 3D softwares. I always say that I don't know how to use 3D softwares. I use just Photoshop to do. I'm going to show how I created this.
Vale.
After the drawing part.
Sorry. So, este es su primer trabajo, el primer trabajo que hizo para Nike. Como os he dicho antes, no sabe utilizar software de 3D, todo es Photoshop e InDesign, y ahora nos va a enseñar el proceso. Go ahead.
I create basic shapes just to to know what we're going to take in front or behind. And then I get some real textures. People think this is not a real texture that I create this, but it's a real texture from their shoes, as you can see here. I create like it's a bit hard to, okay.
Son texturas de zapatilla. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. For example, I don't know if you are seeing the dot line here. It's basic form. So I create a folder with a mask. Then I bring the texture inside this mask. I can take it out. You can see the vector part.
¿Veis la parte del vector?
It's simple. Then I just put the texture inside the letter, and it works for all the letters. As I said, it's not hard to do. So you have to have a knowledge of perspective and shadows and such stuff.
Dice que no es difícil de hacer, que al final tienes que tener conocimiento de perspectiva y texturas y sombras.
I don't know how I could explain more about how I create, but the thing is, you have to keep in mind that the shadows are the most important part on this search work, because the shadows can put some pieces in the front or behind the illustration. I don't have the vector part only here to show, but this is how it works.
Dice que las sombras para él es lo más importante, porque al final es lo que te hace que una parte esté en el frontal o en el fondo de la imagen.
This illustration was a personal work. The Nike saw this illustration and asked me to create something for them. They really enjoyed this work, but they say that it's a bit hard to read. They just do it. People always say that sometimes it's hard to read. This is more just an illustration, there are text. So I don't care if you can read easily or not. It's more an illustration than anything. Another thing that I would like to talk is, people think I create a typography. Typography is a different work than I do. I do lettering. Lettering is like a illustration part of typography. Typography is what Jackson always do. It's like calligraphy using pens. Typography is the creation of type, like creation of typefaces, fonts. Lettering is creation an illustration using a typeface. Sometimes I create a typeface, but it's not. It's just for illustration, not for to use a text.
Yes. Dice que él no se considera un tipógrafo, que él es experto en lettering. Uy. Okay. Y bueno, you're gonna show us more work, right?
Yeah. Let me open this.
No sé si habéis visto sus perfiles, pero en Behance, por ejemplo, tiene 900.000 visitas. Entonces, si tenéis luego preguntas de cómo lleva él sus redes sociales y demás, o que os dé consejos o demás, es un buen momento porque experto en ello es.
I don't know if everybody already seen my work on Behance. Mostly of them are letterings, but I do other kind of illustrations. I also have an illustration that is a school for Nike. It's not a lettering, but it's the same way I do letterings. Is always the same way. My computer is thinking a bit.
That's your computer?
It's a big work here. This work has, I think, close of 2,000 layers. I don't know if everybody knows Photoshop well, but 2,000 layers means a lot of gigabytes in a file. This work has, I think, one gigabyte. It's a bit hard to do because my computer sometimes crashes when I'm doing. As I showed before, this is real textures from their shoes. What I do is to get a real texture, make a crop, and create a tile. Tile is when you duplicate a small part of a texture, so you can do a big texture for the work. You can see the connection between the parts. For this, I create a tile. I fill the letters using. Nike always come to me because they knows that I like to create letters using pieces. This work, they asked me to create the King of Kicks word to represent their shoes, Nike Air Max and the Classic Air Max. So here we have three different Nikes. The King is one Nike, the Off is another pieces of on Nike, and below the kicks are the Classics AF1 Nike.
Okay.
This is.
En el trabajo anterior nos hablaba de que hay veces que no se llega a leer bien el logo. Dice que para él, como es una ilustración, pues le da más igual. Aquí nos habla que estos trabajos tienen hasta 2000 capas, que pesa 1 giga, que es complicado manejarlo, que a veces el ordenador se le bloquea. Y bueno, que trabaja con texturas reales, que Nike sabe que le encanta, como marca él le encanta, entonces conoce bien también los productos. Y en cada... Esto era para King of... no me acuerdo. Bueno, es para Air Max. Y que cada parte tiene una textura distinta.
The hard lesson, as I said, was I got the hard lesson with the same way I did the Nike. I did work as a personal work using their brands. Of course, in this case, it's more an illustration than a lettering. Lettering is just this part that you are seeing here. I create a typeface for using their name. Then I start to put some objects around. I could show for the client just a simple drawing, like are you seeing here.
Esto que veis ahora es un boceto que le puede enseñar al cliente, un sencillo boceto.
I don't think the client would understand what I'm trying to show in the drawing without the shadows and lights. Take a look on this example. It's a bit confused, the design without the shadows. That's why I spend a lot of time painting. Here, like you can see the difference between the simple drawing and the complex drawing.
Dice, la diferencia entre que ahora podéis ver la diferencia entre un dibujo simple y un dibujo más complejo, que al final lo que le da forma obviamente son las sombras y que claro, ahí es cuando coge relevancia.
This is how I showed the drawing for the client, so they can see the perspective, the shadows. I do not create some colored paintings because it would take a lot of more time than just black and white drawings. This is the final work. It's close than the drawing. The client didn't ask any change because he already approved the drawing. This is how I work. I always show the drawing parts.
Así es como trabaja él. Dice que bueno, este es el trabajo final que le enseñó al cliente, que no le pidió ningún cambio. Él ha enseñado el boceto y sí, no pidió cambios. Hay que darle la enhorabuena. Congratulations, Marcelo, for not having any change from the client.
Oh, that's it. Don't have any. If people want to see more, just take a look on my website and see the works. I also have in my Vimeo channel that has some videos showing how I work. I don't know if everybody already seen. It's the whole work that show a bit here.
Nos va a enseñar un vídeo de cuál es el proceso de elaboración de sus trabajos.
Since the beginning, it's not 3D or anything. It's just Photoshop. I create all the parts piece by piece. Here I'm creating just the vector part. It's a bit fast, okay, but
crea cada parte, o sea, todo parte a parte. Ahora está con la parte vectorial.
Then I'm showing here how I create the shadows. I create a mask in each part and then using brush pencil, I really paint the shadows. This is not any Photoshop effect that you can go on menu and apply. This is all made by hand. Here I'm going to create the gradient, the reflections. The reflections is important to show how metallic is the letter. Every work is the same. I do the same way. There is no secret to create such work. This is more like a perception of where the shadows have to go, or the lights, where the lights must to stay. I can't say how, but this is only perception. I remember then when I was a kid, my first drawings, I always try to create a perspective, and I always try to draw something that with reflections and the shadows to improve, to show it better. It's all about spending time trying and doing sometimes not good works. Then after sometimes you see again and you realize that it wasn't good, and you improve. This is the final work. It's big different than the drawing, but it's basically the same aspects. You can.
Nos decía que todos son, que para él no es un trabajo difícil, que todos son percepciones, que al final es probar la sombra, todos los efectos que le va dando. And I have a question. How long does it take to do a work like that? More or less. Like the last one, for example. Marcelo, we are losing you. The sound.
What?
Now that we didn't listen you. Now.
Okay. I spent, I think, three days doing the sketch part, because, as I said, I create three or more designs in a different way to show the client. So I spent 3 days. When I say 3 days, is 3 days, like 24 hours, but sometimes it takes a week to create all the sketches. Then after the client approve on option, I spend I think 1 more week to do the digital part. So it's not hard work, it's just take a long time.
Dice que tarda tres días enteros en hacer la parte del dibujo del borrador, y una vez el cliente la aprueba, pues ya 1 semana darle forma digital. ¿Tenéis? Do you want to go for questions? or were you going to show us something else, another work?
No, I'm done.
Questions?
Hi, I'm Nico. I have the question: if you have a project like this for Pioneer, how much does it approximately cost to create this project? Your work hours?
Rosa, can you repeat?
Or your salary, maybe, for this.
Did you listen, Marcelo? Marcelo?
Wait, what?
Did you listen? The question.
I didn't hear him.
So he's asking, how expensive are you? he's asking how much would it cost a piece of work like that?
Oh, the price will depend of what kind of work the client wants. If it's like a Nike works, there's a lot of work over it. As I create a lot of drawings, the budget it's more expensive than a simple vector work like for a logo. The Nike works I usually charge $2,000 for each drawing, but of course it will depend of the clients. Their rich clients or their poor clients, and also what kind of illustration you are going to create. There's a work in my site that it's some covers for notebooks. I don't remember how many, but the client pays much more than I work for Nike because I created 10 illustrations. I don't remember how much was, but it took a lot of lots of more time than the Nike work. To sum up, it depends what illustration the client wants.
Bueno, costó $2,000, pero dice que depende del proyecto, que hay clientes ricos como Nike, Harley, o hay clientes más modestos, y varía en función de también el cliente y del proyecto y de lo que conlleva. Nos hablaba también de otro proyecto que desarrolló para unos cuadernos, la portada de los cuadernos, y bueno, ahora mismo no se acuerda de cuánto costó, pero depende siempre del tipo de proyecto y del cliente. ¿Pregunta? Another question. So he's asking me if you use guides to do the perspective or... Yes.
What was the question?
Que usa guías, ¿no? Para la perspectiva. He's asking if you have some kind of template beneath the work that guides you for the perspective, or just your perception?
Oh, it's just perception. I always try to draw real objects as a study to improve my drawing skills. Perspective is I think to people who are starting at drawing, perspective is the hard part. There is a lot of ways to create perspective, like I don't know how in English it is, but there's three ways to create perspective. This is just practice. There's no secret to create perspective.
I guess that you've also been proven with time, right?
Yeah.
Dice que no, que guía ni nada, que es percepción, y al final es algo que se trabaja y se desarrolla. De hecho, decía antes que ve trabajos pasados y que dice esto se puede mejorar porque obviamente va adquiriendo más capacidad.
My question would be, how strong is the cooperation with an advertising company, for example, who's doing the link between you and Nike or Harley-Davidson? Or do you work only together with your client without having an advertising company between?
So he's asking if you work directly with Nike and Harley, or is it the advertising company in between you?
No. The Nike, I work directly for the directors. The Harley-Davidson, there is a company between us that handle these works.
It depends. Depende. Preguntaban que si normalmente trabaja con el cliente final o hay una agencia de por medio, y en el caso de Nike son directamente con los headquarters, con los directores de Nike, y Harley, por ejemplo, sí que tienen un intermediario, o sea que depende del proyecto. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿No? Well, thank you very much for your time and for sharing all this. I let them know that all your work, these videos are in your social media, right? And
right.
It's I'm sorry because you are not able to see all the people, but the room is full, and we were really looking forward to talk with you. So thank you very much from all of us, and yes, till next time. See you in Spain.
Thank you.